Hey everybody, this is Jen. Welcome to the homestead and welcome to my channel. So we had a frost come in last night and pretty much a freeze because it did get down cold enough. And so this morning I am going out to see how the plants did that I protected. So follow me along right here on Garden Jen's Journey. All right, so in our area, Zone 5B, Central Michigan, the rule of thumb is to not plant anything until Memorial Day. And this is just the mid part of May, and we've had some really, really warm days and nights. And so some people would be like, okay, the frost threat is over. Let's go ahead and get our tomatoes and peppers and stuff that needs the warm weather. They're wanting to get that in the ground. But I know from experience to wait, because we always have this freak frost come through that can kill all those. And to be honest, I was really itching to plant some tomatoes in the ground the other day too, because yeah, it's been in the 60s, almost 70s during the day and around 50s at night, which is perfect weather for the tomatoes and stuff. But I know I cannot trust this trend to keep going, that we always have a frost or a freeze pop in there between May and June. And sometimes we do have some frost even in June, just because the weather's so weird. So I didn't plant anything that shouldn't have been planted, but I did have some crops that we did need to protect. My seedlings in my greenhouse that I needed to protect. The seedlings that were growing in my winter sown jugs that I needed to protect because of this cold snap. So let's head out into the garden and see what kind of destruction or lack of is. All right, so these are where I have my roses, and I just planted zinnias here yesterday that I got as a Mother's Day gift. And you can see that I might have lost them because they've got frozen. But let's see how the roses are doing that we cover with our buckets. All right, so our roses seem to have made it. This one is my purple rose. And this one is my Neil Diamond, and the growth is still all right on those. This is one of my other newer roses, and the growth on it is still all right, so we're doing okay. These plants I did not cover. I figured if they got a little frostbite, it was okay. And they look pretty good, actually. So, very thankful with that. So here's my blueberry patch, and then I have some other containers that I covered with this frost cloth. Let's see how they did overnight. Alright, so the buckets protected my blueberries. They're still looking nice. Let's see if I can zoom in here. And see that they're still nice and green, doing good. These guys are doing okay too. So this frost cloth really helps with that. Let's go check some other spots. Alright, so these are my large pots of herbs and stuff. I have my stinging nettle here, and then I got some thyme, and this is a type of sedum. And under this blanket, this towel actually, I have strawberries, and they were flowering and stuff, and I wanted to protect them from the frost. So let's see how they're doing. Alright, they're doing pretty good. A little wilted, but I think they'll bounce back just fine. There doesn't look to be any real damage from the cold. So they should perk up when it gets a little bit warmer. Alright, this is where I have my lettuces planted. And lettuces can take some cold, but a frost is questionable because it causes the water in the leaves to crystallize, which destroys the leaves. So let's uncover these guys and see how they did. Alright, the lettuce seems to have made it alright. It's not wilted at all, which is a good sign. That means that the frost crystals stayed off of the lettuce. Let's check on our grapes, because I'm concerned that my grapes got damaged, because we had some that actually leafed out because the weather has been warm. Alright, so I'm quite thankful. My grapes are looking alright. I was kind of concerned. I have a baby one that I covered here with this pot. Yep, it's still alright. Yay! Alright, so right here I have some of my winter sown jugs. These ones I'm a little more concerned about because these have the warm crops in it. Let's see if this blanket was able to keep them warm enough where the crops inside did not die. Alright, looking pretty good on that one. That one's looking really good. Yeah, the bell pepper seedlings have survived in this jug. They survived in this jug too. This is another bunch of winter sown jugs that I have that I covered as well. The ones in the front, the ones in the back, there's nothing sprouted yet, so they didn't need to be covered. But these ones up front had seedlings in them. So let's see what they're looking like. The seedlings are doing okay in there, especially that little weed. These ones are doing beautifully. Those ones are wonderful. Look at all those healthy seedlings. Still doing good. Very healthy. These marigolds are just loving life. Even my baby rosemary has made it through the night. Okay, so my winter sown seedlings have made it through the night because I protected them, covering them with a blanket, and so that worked very well. Now let's go into the greenhouse and see how the seedlings that I just started in there are doing, because my greenhouse isn't heated. I do have a warming box underneath one of the shelves for the bigger seedlings, but as far as keeping the whole greenhouse warm, I do not have a heater that can do that. So let's see what it looks like inside there. Alright, so this is what the inside of my greenhouse looks like this morning. These are all my canna lilies, and I covered them with the frost cloth just to keep them a little more protected from the cold, because they do not like cold. And then I have my baby seedlings up there. They're on heat mats, and they're also covered with a humidity dome, and then I covered them again with, those are actually some fabric curtains to try to retain as much heat as possible overnight to see if we can keep those little baby seedlings alive during this cold snap. Over here I have some more seed trays, but none of these have sprouted yet, so I wasn't too concerned about keeping them from getting frosted over, since there's no seedlings actually growing in these yet. And like I said, we do have a warming box. You can probably hear the heater going on underneath. I have a really small heater that is attached to a thermometer that turns it on and off depending on the temperature, and I have the temperature set at 55 just to keep it somewhere around there underneath. So let's get all this uncovered and I'll show you what it looks like. Alright, everything on top seems to have made it just fine. The lilies are looking beautiful, and soon they'll go outside. But like I said, it's still too cold to really have them outside because we do have these freak cold snaps come through. So my beans are looking really good. My cucumbers, my gourds are looking really good. I actually had 2 more that popped out of the ground overnight, so to speak. So obviously they stayed warm enough, which is exciting. My nasturtiums still have not sprouted yet. I have a hard time growing nasturtiums, but we'll see how they do as time goes on. These beans are looking good. Looking really, really good. And then these are tomato and pepper sprouts that are just starting to germinate. So they're looking pretty good. Let's see what the underneath looks like. Okay, so this is my under the shelf setup that my husband made. It's a warming box, and it's just meant to keep things in here from freezing. So I have this tiny heater here, and then it's plugged into my thermostat there. And the thermostat is reading that it's just under 50 degrees under here. But it keeps this heater running when it's cold, just to keep these guys from freezing. And so far it looks like everything has made it. I transplanted quite a few young seedlings yesterday. I didn't know that there was a cold snap coming, you know, otherwise I wouldn't have transplanted them, because that's a lot of shock on a brand new seedling. But they're doing really good. Excuse the bumps here. These guys here are cucumbers I just transplanted. You can't really see them too much because they're so tiny. But I have tomatoes that I transplanted in there. I got some borage I transplanted there. And some basil. That's what's transplanted in there. And they're all doing very, very good for little tiny, tiny seedlings. And then of course I have my marigolds, my tomatoes, and some peppers and things like that. But they all made it through the night. All right, I am feeling so thankful that I was alerted that there was a frost coming, because I didn't know there was a frost coming. You know, I generally watch the temperatures and things like that every night, because I know that we do get frost even in late May, and like I said, sometimes June. But a friend of mine notified me that there was a frost freeze warning for our area. So I took about an hour and covered everything and buttoned up the greenhouse, and you know, said a little prayer that the Lord would protect everything. And you know, I did my part by covering as much as I could, and then you know, I had to lean on Him that He would make up for any shortcomings. Like I said, I don't know if those zinnias are going to make it, because I wasn't aware that there was going to be a frost. And so they just got planted, which means they're in transplant shock, plus the cold snap. So we'll see if they bounce back later on today. But other than that, everything else looks really good. So that is the update, and just to show you that even in milk jugs, your crops can survive a cold snap if you cover them with a blanket. They will make it through. You don't have to take them inside, and actually that is worse for them if you take them inside a heated environment than just leaving them outside. But yeah, very, very thankful on how everything turned out. And now I have to get everything out of the greenhouse before it starts baking in here, because let's see, it's already 70 degrees in the greenhouse because we have the direct sun. So it's about, I think maybe it reached 50 degrees outside. So yeah, I got to get all these seedlings out of the greenhouse before they get cooked. And that's how it goes here in this type of greenhouse until I get more vents put in here. Alright, so I hope this video gave you a little bit more information on how to cover your crops, protect your crops, and that they will make it through a cold snap if you do take the right precautions. So thank you for being with me today, everybody, and I hope wherever you are, you're wonderfully blessed. So until next time, bye-bye.